All right, let's get this live chat started. Well, first off, I'd like to say I greatly appreciate everyone joining this live chat. As we're getting started, I'd like to cover the chat session disclaimer. This live chat in the Codings Talk series does not represent the opinions or strategies of Akzo Nobel International Paint. Additionally, I make every effort to provide accurate and up-to-date information from the global protective coatings and corrosion industries. Now, despite this care and attention, it is reasonably possible that the content and chat conversations within this live broadcast may have content that is incomplete and or inaccurate. Recording, distributing, and any other use of this live chat is not permitted without written permission of Jim Kunkel, that's me, and I am recording this session audio for rebroadcasting and to have an archive recording. Now, before I set up the topic for tonight's live chat, I'd like to cover how you can participate in this live chat. It's really easy. All you have to do is raise your hand. There's an icon in the chat menu there. And also, please feel free to hit any emoji to let me know how you're feeling about this live chat. Now, when you do raise your hand, I will invite you up onto the stage, open up your microphone, and feel free to participate with a question or a comment, or if you have some real world experience with the topic tonight, please feel free to share that with everyone. And this evening's topic is the SSPC Guide number 12, Illumination of Industrial Coating Projects. In addition to that, I got some updates on the current review and revision for the 2023 update. So this standard will be revised and updated and then reissued back out, this guide. So we'll talk about that as well. Okay, now we got that all covered. Let me kick this off by talking about industrial coatings, project specifications, and project work. Well, they list a lot of different standards and requirements for the contractor's work plan and also for the inspection checkpoints and hold points that require visual confirmation to make sure that you're meeting certain minimum acceptable requirements to standards or to certain aspects of the project itself. Now, proper illumination of the work area is very vital when determining acceptable work that's within minimum compliance to project specification and project requirements. If there's insufficient light, it's unlikely that a quality inspection of workmanship production can be performed. By scriptively requiring excessive light, that might not be practical in the field, and the use of improper and or excessive amounts of light can cause safety concerns. Workplace illumination can be difficult to manage as workers must be able to see what they are doing without a light source being obstructive. Now, how can this balance be achieved and what guidance is available? I'm going to talk about the SSPC Guide number 12, Guide for Illumination of Industrial Painting Projects. And the first question that on this particular guide that I typically will be asked, because this is something I do recommend for consideration in certain things. And when you're looking at, for example, if you're working in work areas such as tanks, containments, it could be in blast or paint rooms, on shop floors. There could be other situations where you need to have a guidance document like this to have proper illumination, because if you can't see properly, how can you actually perform work properly? And the same thing goes for the quality control and the quality assurance inspection. Is if you can't really see it properly, adequately, it can be very difficult to inspect it. So SSPC Guide number 12, it allows specifiers and contractors with coatings industry guidance on the quantity and quality of illumination on industrial coating projects that's favorable to achieving a safe and productive industrial workplace. Now, the guide is, it's only a guide specific to the coatings industry, and it contains descriptions of the various types of lighting necessary when specific hazards and operational conditions are present, and recommends illumination levels for specific tasks, including surface preparation, coating application, and importantly, inspection. Now, I want to give a shout out to my good friends at Western Technology. And after this broadcast, you should check out Western Technology. You can Google them. They have some incredible light options for industrial lighting, and both fixed and also portable. And the shout I want to give to would be to Jim Giza, Dr. Michael Kralik, and Tammy Finlay. And what they did for me, they gave me, they were part of the committee working on this particular revision and update that was being done on Guide 12. And what is going to be added, and I talked to someone at AMP, and I found out that the revision right now, the 2016 is still the current version out there for this guide. The 2023 has to be reviewed, and it's going to go for board review and approval. So the plan, from what I understand from AMP, is that the update and revision of Guide 12 will be completed relatively shortly. It sounds like within a few months, and then it will be released and advertised as such and be available for purchase on the AMP site. But it'll be something that can be, it can still be like it is currently being recommended and added into project work and everything like that. But let me give you some of the changes that are being done. Well, it deals a lot around with portable explosion-proof lighting equipment. And that equipment must be certified. And when we talk about the word explosion proof, doesn't mean like it can withstand explosions. It means that if you were to drop this, portable light and this is where the hazards come. If you're in a certain situation, environmental condition, or there might be, maybe you've got a certain type of compounds in front of you that can be explosive. You want to make sure that you have a portable light that is not going to set off an explosion. And we've seen that. You read in the news every so often. I remember being in Canada on a trip where some work was being done in a tank, and there was an explosion, and you just hear these things, and it just breaks your heart. But what the new revision is going to call out is the compliant use of different class. Like class 1 would be related to flammable gas, vapors, and liquid that could be present in the environment to whatever degree. Again, you could be inside of a tank and still have potential explosive situations. Class 2 deals with combustible dust in the environment. And then it also breaks down into Division 1 and 2 compliance, and that's ignitable hazardous atmosphere if it's present. Group C and D, general solvents. So think about that. Fuels that could be on the site, methane, gasoline, and alcohols, have it be compliant there. And then groups E and F and G, metal, carbon, carbon black, coal, coke, grain, plastic, and wood dust compliant. And so what you want to have, or what this is calling out, is saying that when you're looking at portable lighting, it needs to be explosion proof. It needs to have that certification to it, and it has to conform to standards, because what comes into play with this particular technology, this particular guide number 12, is that it ties in also OSHA in it as well. And let me pull down the standard here. It was OSHA, and then also the National Fire Protection Association. So you have that tie-in as well. Another thing for revision on here is portable explosion-proof lighting to be used in wet locations as meeting low voltage requirements of power supply to the light head, and then meet the required level of illumination on surface. It changes the lux lux or foot candles, however you want to break it down, for surface preparation and coating application, paint booth production, and then inspection as well. Another change is related to defining out control glare, because you want to do that. You want to make sure that you are controlling glare inside, because again, that can create a safety and a hazard situation if there is glare. And that's going to be by using dimmers, diffusers, or filters. Use of an explosion-proof visible white light when switchable UVA black light for inspection and detection of paint holidays and other coating defects. Project lighting equipment and work surfaces from damage using lights with integrated protective bumpers. And then protect primary lens from damage with sacrificial blast lens and overspray bags. Perform constant inspection of electrical power cords for cuts, abrasion, and wear, and have immediately available explosion-proof personnel backup lighting like an explosion-proof battery, powered flashlight in case of power failure. And then the big stress that Western technology wanted me to let everybody know is that always demand whoever you're getting your light equipment from, that they provide certification documents to that. Western technology, if you go to their site, I do believe they have a link that has a YouTube video, and it covers what does explosion-proof lighting mean and its safety benefits to workers and property. And it goes into that the misunderstanding when it comes to what is explosion-proof lighting. And I think that video, they do a really good job in explaining it. So what is illumination and why is it needed? Illumination is measured in lux or foot candles and is the measure of the amount of light that falls onto a surface. The level of illumination required depends on the task and or work being performed, as well as the location and local environment. Adequate illumination improves productivity, while poor illumination increases both the risk of accidents and impacts on contractor production, but it also can impede, as I mentioned earlier, you can't really inspect what you can't see adequately. So that can impact quality control and quality assurance inspection work that's being done. And then uncertain high levels of illumination will add unnecessary extra costs to the project work due to installation impacts, power requirements, lighting maintenance, and importantly, excessive lighting, which could impact safety concerns as a result of increasing glare and or eye strain. Um, Another aspect of certain projects of adding this in there, I think it really does help kind of with these new revisions going in here. It also has the aspect of thinking of the project focused on production, and then also when it comes to the quality control inspection part of it, adequate light levels. If you look at these revision parts and dealing with explosion-proof lighting, I look at this covering some of the safety and liability aspect of projects as well. So the new revisions to Guide 12, I think, really strengthen it and make it a stronger argument now to take it from being, okay, this is more about light levels and these project areas that require it, to now all of a sudden, hey, in addition to that, you have to consider when you have explosive situations and also to safety concerns. And I think this is a good argument for a lot of the projects out there to start to add this into the requirements when it comes to it. Now, the recommended levels of illumination provided in SSPC Guide number 12 came from objective and subjective examination of a variety of industrial coating workspaces. The recommendation found in SSPC Guide number 12 are industry consensus agreed to be comfortable for the workers by providing distortion-free work surfaces with adequate levels of illumination to perform their work safely and support productivity. Now, I really can't show it to you, but in the standard, if you ever get it, and you can Google it because you can actually see it, OSHA 1926.56, and it would be A, requires a minimum of 5-foot candles for general construction area light and 10-foot candles for general construction shops. Now, SSPC Guide number 12 provides similar guidance, so you can actually look at this OSHA reg and take a look at the chart, and it will kind of lay out to you what the minimum and recommended is, and that's also baked into the Guide 12. Now, when assessing the illumination of a workplace, you have to consider the procedures for measuring illumination levels. There is equipment for that you can do to measure the levels of lighting, adequacy of natural and artificial lighting where work is being performed, and then reduce visibility due to any potential glare or when you have dust conditions. The color of the light, that's important as well. And then the important thing is the safety of the lighting equipment. Now, how to achieve proper illumination. Again, if you're in the audience, if you do want to participate, just raise your hand, and I can bring you up on the stage if you guys have anything to add, or you want questions, or if you want real life applications when it comes to it. Jeremy, all right. Let's get you up here, my friend. Allow to speak. All right, Jeremy, you're on, my brother.
How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, man. I appreciate you
I
being.
appreciate you being. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Not a problem at all. My pleasure. Yeah, this is a great topic. When I was working for some contractors, those Western, I forget the name, the brick lights that they have,
Yeah, Western
great. Yeah, Western
technology.
technology. Yeah, man, those are great lights. They're extremely bright inside of a containment, and just food for thought for everyone. We had really good success using oven bags to protect those things. The oven bags could withstand the heat, and it would protect it from any kind of overspray and dust. Kept them in really good shape on the job site. And I'm really glad that this thing exists, because I wish it was specified more. I try to put it in anything that I write as far as lighting for a project. But the OSHA requirement, in my opinion, for the type of work we do, with all of the hoses stretched out and all of the tripping hazards that are on site, I mean, that OSHA requirement just doesn't address that kind of stuff. So I'm really glad this is being addressed, and I'm glad they did the updates with the explosion proof stuff. Really.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jeremy. I appreciate that. No, you're 100% correct. When I do look at projects, this is one of the ones I do recommend for consideration, depending on, again, what type of project it is. It doesn't fit every project, but it's something definitely to have considered. In what you're going to be doing with the proper illumination, you periodically want to check the illumination levels that they conform adequate lighting. To measure the light, you're going to use your light meter, and with the light sensor being perpendicular to the surface that is representative of the work area, and at minimum of 6 feet away from the nearest light source. You want to take 5 readings in this area to record the average of the measurements, and you perform this for each task in their respective production locations. Now, natural light typically will be present in most work areas during the day, but is never consistent and must be assessed prior to work and monitored as weather conditions and time progresses throughout the day. Artificial lighting will need to be maintained and adjusted as work production progresses. And it's recommended that the lighting systems be protected from direct spray of coatings and abrasives. Like Jeremy, your recommendation, that's an awesome recommendation there. And then lighting fixtures may not properly disperse heat if overspray or abrasive material accumulate, and that can lead to overheating, and that could be also a safety concern as well. Now, due to the harsh environments, the lights will need to be cleaned regularly, maintained, and possibly replaced when damaged, and when they become non-compliant. And glare is the effect of light that causes discomfort um, and impaired vision. It is typically experienced when an area is excessively brighter than the general surroundings. Now, the effects of airborne dust will also reduce visibility and the limit of illumination of the work production area. This is important consideration during abrasive blast cleaning operations. The color of the light should be as close to natural daylight. White light is recommended, and it does not visually distort the surface. Now, before beginning work, the location must first be evaluated to determine if a hazardous atmosphere exists, and the conditions of the atmosphere during work must be considered. All lighting equipment needs to be designed for the intended work environment because of the environment created within industrial coating project areas. It is preferred that the light fixture be encased in a non-conductive shatterproof casing to prevent electrical shock and to be protected from abrasion and corrosion. Poor illumination can increase productivity and provide a safe work environment. When workers can see what they're doing, the amount of rework required can be reduced. And then further, the quality of the work can be better evaluated under proper illumination. And some on the call know Michael Damiano. I've had the pleasure to work with Michael for 10 years. And what he always said to me is, you can't inspect what you can't see. And I live with that going through my inspection courses and other courses, and also being out in the field when I worked at SSPC and with AMP, and now that I'm working for a coating manufacturer on some of the projects out there. That's really what I had to cover for this. It's only about roughly about a 5-page guide, but it's an important guide. And my only final thoughts on this is that this is something that needs to be considered. This needs to be recommended. I think a lot of people just don't know about it. And the more we can educate the specifiers out there, the owners out there, I think this is a great document to have, a great guide to have included in project work. And yeah, I think I'm looking forward to the updated version, the 2023. With that being said, does anyone else have anything that they want to add to the live chat, or any questions you might have, or experiences that you had when it comes to Illumination on some project work areas that you've done? You just feel free to put your hand up. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I will take this recording and put it back out onto my YouTube channel as an audio, and then re-promote it back out on LinkedIn and other social media. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day, morning, or evening.